In today's episode, mental formatting and cognitive dissonance. People have their view of reality based on the information they themselves have processed, or at least that is the best-case scenario. The deep state, as a concept, is the idea of a parallel structure of influence and power that resides outside of the so-called democratic system. This structure, at its core, consists of a few families that have maintained and grown their influence and control over several generations. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. What does the levers of power in our civilization actually consist of? The most basic concept to understand is who controls money. The second concept to understand is who controls information. The third concept to understand is who controls the military-industrial complex. This control is maintained in order to control the flow of natural resources, in order to control civilization. It's not very hard to spot that it's always the same families. Many people confuse ownership with influence and power. Though ownership can be a form of influence, there are many more efficient ways to exert control and influence, especially if you want to do it without being seen. The family referenced in other episodes, the Wallenberg family, have grown their influence and power over many generations, at least since the time of the Opium Wars. This old shadowy banking dynasty has a very specific family motto, which reads, in Latin, esse non videri. It actually means to act without being seen, and that has always been their preferred strategy. But I've never heard of them, most people might say. Exactly. They started their family bank, Stockholm's Enskilda Bank, with money from the drug trade with Chinese interests within China, as it relates to the Opium Wars era. This family have since come to control way more than most people realize, but I don't really care who believes it. This cannot be explained in a single post on X, and I have no interest in compelling anyone to see what I myself see. Either you can connect the dots over several centuries and see who did what, with what purpose, and calculate where we are today and why, or you cannot. If you cannot see it for yourself, based on the information at your disposal, someone telling you about it won't change your mind. The course of events currently playing out will continue to play out until enough people understand reality well enough for them to engage themselves in the future of society. The banking system has become debt-saturated. It was by design so that the bankers can turn substantial profits without adding any productive value to the economy, whether you believe it or not. Telecom surveillance has always been controlled through a company called Ericsson, whether you believe it or not. Signal surveillance in military applications have always been rigged by the same interests, from the 1930s and onwards, mainly through a company called Crypto AG, whether you believe it or not. Blackmail and/or bribery has always been used to control the puppets at the top of the monarchies, agencies, and branches of government, whether you believe it or not. The deep state is not a conspiracy theory. It's a way to define which global interests over time have infested the whole planet and are the real enemies of society. Did you really think that the hidden enemy would be revealed in the early stages of this operation? People who have followed the crumbs this far, Ericsson has been put in your path. Where do you think it leads? It leads to the best-kept secret of the deep state. And most people won't believe it. Either you are prepared for what is coming or you are not, because nothing can stop it. Reality is catching up to the illusion, and when it does, the illusion will shatter. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. The choice to wake up before the alarm rings is yours. The clock is ticking.